Ooh, okay, and we're back, and we're back, and we're back. Ooh, figuring shit out. Episode 107. Ooh, man, there's a lot of episodes. We've been cranking them out, man. We hit the 100 episode mark and just kept on cranking. Y'all know who I am, King Arthur, Unify and Thrive. If you didn't know, make sure you do know. Shout out to Frank. Frank out there taking care of his mental health. Get better, Frank. Come back and see us and come join us real soon. And make sure you go check out the book, An Elusive Perspective, right? You can check it out on his website, elusiveperspective.com. It's on Amazon, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and figuring shit out. All right. Today we have a wonderful guest, Miss Dr. Nicole. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So we're gonna get this thing, get this ball rolling. Well, we ask all of our guests how we get our show started. We ask everybody, what is your figuring shit out moment, right? So a moment that made you say aha, or just had you moving differently throughout life and or in business.
I would say the moment for me was when I continued to realize that doing everything that I could to please others just wasn't working. And so it was time for me to actually do what it was best for Nicole and what served Nicole, instead of trying to accommodate and please everyone else around me. Because at the end of the day, all I have is Nicole, and people will always continue to raise the bar or switch it up on you, and you'll be dancing all over the place. So I got tired of dancing to everyone else's music and wanted to do what was best for me.
Okay, so was there a particular moment that made you say, I'm not going to do that anymore? Because so for me, I know kind of like you, at one point in time, I had went through, like, I was just telling everybody, yeah. I said, and it was kind of intentional and deliberate. I said, I'm going to say yeah to everything that comes my way. Anything that they ask me, it could be for $1, it could be for a ride, it could be just help them do something. I'm saying yeah. By the end of the week, I understood the importance of my no. I understood people just ask you stuff just because they didn't have any intentions. They just wanted to ask, right? And if you say yeah, just whatever, right? So do you have a particular moment where it was just like, I'm not doing that again?
Well, I think it was in my personal life as well as in my career, because, you know, people have all types of expectations of you. And so they're going to continue, like you said, to ask. And so when I continued to do that and people were still not happy with, after I've done everything you've asked me to do, then I had to take a step back and say, you know what, Nicole, it's time for you to try a different approach and do what serves you well. So it's just situations in my personal life as well as in my career.
Okay, nice. And what is it in your career that you do? What do you do?
Well, I started way back in the 90s, the late 90s. I started in the field of education. I began on the higher education side. So I was a faculty member, a staff member, a director, and my last position was vice president of student services. And then I transitioned into public schools, where I dealt with special education inclusion, and then moved into administration with assistant principal and campus principal.
Okay, so are you still in education, or are you doing something totally different now?
Right now, I am just consulting and going around speaking and being on podcasts to get my Maintain the Flame message out into the world. And I've also written my book, My Soul Is Not for Sale.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, because, man, they are buying them up by the dozens now.
Yes,
So,
I am selling, and I'm excited about that. That's good news.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So what is Maintain the Flame? What's that about?
Well, Maintain the Flame is a company that was designed to help others design the life that they desire. So we know when we grew up, we all, you know, you had that excitement for life. You didn't care what people thought about you. You were going to be okay with who you were. But then as you transition into the adult world, you begin to kind of look around and, you know, do I fit here? Is it okay to speak up on behalf of this? And we want to fit in, and we end up conforming into the world. And sometimes we allow it to chip away at who we truly are. And then at the end of the day, we're trying to figure out what happened to Nicole, what happened to my morals, my values, and who I truly am. And so Maintain the Flame wants you to live an audaciously authentic life and focus on you and your goals and dreams, and making sure that you hold on to that integrity.
That's amazing to hear, because it's a lot of following going on nowadays.
Yes.
People are just kind of tumbleweeding through life, not sure what to do, not what they want to do, and a lot of, you know, that, what is it, the social media lifestyle, right? Everybody's seeing
Yes.
something flashy, and I want to do that, but they have no idea what they
Entail.
want to do, right? So how
Exactly.
do you help people kind of, I guess, break away from what somebody else has been telling them, right? Like you said, you heard you're going to beat to the drum of your own music, right? How do you
Yeah.
get them to understand that they have their own music to dance to, and how to kind of tune into that?
The first thing I do is have them to go back. Let's go back. Let's figure out what you enjoyed, what brought you happiness, and those things that got you excited about life. And then once we start doing those and reconnecting with that, that helps to reignite the flame. So I have them to write down, like, what are 5 things you always wanted to do in life, but you put it off either because you were married or you are a parent or life just got away from you. And so we're going to revisit those items that you were interested in. I'm going to encourage you to go back and start being engaged in the different, if you wanted to write a book, if you wanted to host a podcast, if you wanted to be a dancer, go ahead and go back to that moment, reignite that flame. And once you engage with that particular area, you'll start to surround yourself with like-minded individuals that will reignite that flame, get you excited about that dream you once had, and you'll continue to work towards the goals that you have set for yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
This right here, this book changed my life. This is the book. This is the one you want to get. If you really want to know what's going on in the world, if you really want to gain the perspective you need to change your outlook, this book, An Elusive Perspective, this is the one that's going to wake you up, help you to see the world for what it truly is. Take the blinders off, look behind the veil, wake up. 11 chapters of knowledge, information, the truth about this planet, about this world, about politics, about abundance, about money. Get this book now, change your life.
How important is it to find a community of like-minded people? We always hear the saying of if you hang around 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10th, right? You
That's
are
right.
the sum of the 5 people you hang around with. So
Mhm.
what's the importance of like finding like-minded individuals?
It's very important. You have to find people that think like you and have goals similar to you, because if not, the other individuals will start to bring you down. They may be negative individuals in your life, and they're always looking at the situation from a distorted view, or, oh, that'll never work. Well, you don't want those individuals going with you along that journey, because they will hold you back from where you're trying to go. So you must find individuals that's going to cheer you on, that's going to support you, but most importantly, be very open and honest with you when you're dealing with situations, to say, hey, you might want to reevaluate that. I think this was great, but you might want to take a look at these other areas. But being around like-minded individuals keeps you inspired, keeps you ignited, and focused on the goals you have in front of you.
And so I know you heard the saying, these are my day ones, right? They've been there for the whole ride. They've been there a long time. They're not going anywhere, right?
Yes.
They have to go sometimes, right? They have to.
Oh, yeah.
How do you suggest that they kind of break away from the comfort of being around those type of people, into, exploring into finding actual people that they actually need to be around and want to be around, to help them elevate and grow?
You're going to have to start spending more time with new people, coming out of your comfort zone. And then when you're in your private time, sit down and write the pros and cons of holding on to those individuals. You can still have them in your life, but they may not be the individuals that can hang out with you at different events, or individuals that you share your most intimate ideas and desires with, because in a moment's notice, they're going to shoot that down, or they're going to find a reason why you should not do that. So you may keep them around, maybe for family events, or just maybe if you want to go to a movie, things of that nature, for minor areas. But when it's major and you're trying to make forward movement, you want individuals that's going to think like you, that's going to challenge you and support you as you move forward towards your goals.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. A lot of people I used to hang out with I don't know. How am I going to say that? They just didn't get the memo that I got. And that's okay, right? Because the vision wasn't for them. The vision was for me, right?
That's right.
It's not for them to see. It's for me to execute. It's for me to participate in. It's for me to live out and create and do, right? But I always wanted them to come with me, and I would always kind of like try to force it on them. And it was just like, Dick Gregory always say, when somebody's sleeping and you try to wake them up, the first thing they say is, "Why'd you wake me up?" Right? Like,
yes.
they're not ready, right? It's not their time, and it's your journey to it's your choice to move on the journey. Right? I like that. So once you kind of, I don't want to give away your whole framework, but like once you kind of dig into that past and they kind of understood that and kind of figured out what makes them tick, what's next for them to maintain their fire?
Well, I have 8 strategies that I utilize when I'm
Okay.
working with individuals. There's no particular order for them to utilize those strategies, and it's just from the acronym MAINTAIN. You just got to hang
Okay.
in there and implement these strategies, whatever you're comfortable with. For the letter M, is for your mindset, making sure you have a positive mindset. Now, I'm not just talking about the affirmations. Those are great to wake up and say those wonderful affirmations. But what about if we get up, we say these affirmations, and after we say, I'm strong, I'm brave, I can do it, and then we lay back in the bed, that's not going to get us anywhere. So not only
Right.
having those affirmations, but you must have a positive mindset, because as you're moving forward and you're trying to be an entrepreneur, or if you're getting into acting for the first time, whatever the goal or dream is that you have, you're going to have some setbacks. And if you're not able to handle those setbacks and they just tear you to shreds, or they get you discouraged, that's going to be something that's going to hurt you in the process. So making sure that
Mhm.
you have a positive mindset, you're able to look at the situation, pick out the good things. There's always good in every situation that we encounter. The next letter is A, take action. Make sure we're taking action each and every day. If you say, I want to start walking, my goal is to get involved in a marathon, you may get up in the morning, walk to the stop sign, and come back home. At least make
Mhm.
sure you're taking action steps every day towards your goal. The
Okay.
next letter is going to be I. You must be very intentional with the life that you desire to lead. And you know that
Absolutely.
it's always been said, write the vision, make it plain. So write it down and commit to seeing it through. This month, I'm committing to 3 goals, and make sure that you're working on those goals. You're being very intentional. You're following through. You're getting some
Mhm.
accountability partners to walk with you, but be very intentional. Now, in your area of being on the podcast, how do you see in being intentional? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
So I was gonna say like one of my favorite sayings, and I've said it throughout. So we have 2 shows. We have this one. We
Uh-huh.
have a conspiracy show. And one of my favorite sayings, or one of my life philosophies, is remain perfectly present.
Yes.
I like to say I'm perfectly present at all times. Like so, even when I'm sad or upset or happy and joyful and glee and doing whatever, right? Just doing my best to maintain my presence in that moment of who I am, what's going on, checking my emotions, right? Just doing my best to be intentional, right?
I love it.
Being perfectly present. So that's just me. That's like, I can't explain this to everybody. So like when somebody's like, how you doing? Like, I'm perfect because I want to stay in a state of perfection. I'm not saying that this experience is perfect, or I'm not saying
Mhm.
I'm perfect. I'm just perfect because I'm perfectly present in the moment, right?
I
So that's
love
how
it.
I look at it, being
And
intentional.
if
Yeah.
we're not present in the moment, sometimes we're looking too far ahead. And so we miss
Mm-hmm.
that moment that we're in, or we're still thinking
Mm-hmm.
about what we did wrong in the last show. And so we're
Right.
not able to
Right.
show up as our authentic self. So I like that,
Mm-hmm.
being perfectly present. I love that. The
Yes, ma'am.
next letter is going to be N, to make sure you are nurturing yourself. Take time to nurture yourself. We always spend so much time giving to everyone else, but make sure you take time to nurture yourself. Then after
Mm-hmm.
that, you have the letter T. Be very tenacious. You have got to hold on to that dream. I don't care what happens. I don't care if you run out of money. I don't care if a big disaster happens in your life. You've got to be so focused and pinpoint and set on that dream that you have, that you're going to be tenacious. You're not going to let anything keep you from that goal or dream. Then after
Right.
that, we have the letter A, being authentic. Being authentic is very important. I love the name of your show. I love the fact that you're being very authentic about that and
Yes,
challenging
ma'am.
people at the same time. But
Absolutely.
authenticity is very important, because how can you be true to someone else if you can't stand up and be true to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And then the
Mm-hmm.
next letter is going to be I, and this is a big one: integrity. We're
Okay.
lacking so much integrity, unfortunately, in our communities and in our society. So holding
Mm-hmm.
on to that integrity and not being so weak that we just go with whatever anyone says or we'll just go whatever the popular opinion is at that moment. Stand firm on what you believe and hold on to your integrity. And the last letter is N, non-negotiables. And that is so important. I'm not saying that you're not supposed to be flexible, but what I am saying is come up with your non-negotiables for your life. If it's in your relationships, knowing what you deserve. If it's on your job, knowing how you're going to utilize your time at work. I'm going to work from 8 to 5. I can't stay late. I need to show up for my child. I can't stay late. I have a commitment at church. Being very present, like you said, and coming up with your non-negotiables. And if you utilize any of those strategies in any particular order, it will help you design the life that you desire.
I think you were talking to me in this list, because a lot of this is like, I'm the super optimistic, natural battery type of fella, right? And when you said N, which is what nurture yourself, I am a whole firm believer in putting yourself first. That's right. Good. And that's almost in every situation. And I even go as far as saying, I put myself before my children for the fact of when they get to see me put myself first.
Yes.
And they will learn how to put themselves first, Dad made sure he worked out before he talked to us. Dad made sure he did this before he did this with us. Right. Or when I'm working, they'll come and I work from home. So they'll come and bother me like, hey, this is what focus looks like. I'm focusing to see the focus here. Like, so go and, go off whatever. And and for me, that leads into the rest of them, being tenacious, right? Being authentic, keep my integrity, right? And no regrets. So my non-negotiables, right? Like, that's definitely like the type of individual that I want to be, that I'm being, right? And so, you're definitely talking to me, right? So talk about your entrepreneurial journey and, selling your book and being a consultant.
Well, I've had an opportunity to meet some wonderful individuals, and I just like to be transparent. It's not always going to be a bed of roses. You will have your good and bad days, but it's really tough, as you probably can attest to, when you are working for yourself, because you don't get a lot of downtime. You have to keep burning the midnight oil. You have to keep being driven and focused despite what you may encounter. And so for me, I've been able to go to different bookstores. I've been able to go to different release areas where I'm able to sign the book. I've been able to speak to different organizations, and I just enjoy it. And believe it or not, my journey began many, many years ago when I was received the title of Miss Austin USA. I was the first African American in Austin on my second attempt. And so that's where I began my speaking journey, because in that role, you had to go out and you had to speak to different individuals, different crowds. And I loved that experience. I loved having the opportunity to connect with other individuals. And so I was able just to take that and move it forward. And now I'm doing something that I truly love.
That's amazing. First Black Miss Austin.
Yes. Many years ago.
Ooh, many years ago. Well, I would assume you were the first, right? So how was that experience? How was that? Was it a lot of barriers or a lot of friction to make it happen, or was it pretty seamless for you?
I think it was pretty seamless at the beginning for me. I actually got into pageants because I was at Grambling State University, and they have Miss Grambling and all the other things. And for whatever reason, I just decided, I think I'll go home and I'll try for Miss Austin. Had never been in a pageant. And so the first time around, I didn't make it. I made the top 12 and I was totally fine with it, but they encouraged my parents to come back for a second time. And at first I was like, nah, I don't want to do it, but I did, and I enjoyed the experience. So it was something unique, something I tried for the first time and enjoyed it.
All right. Okay. So I see them on your website, which is really nice. It looks really and clean and put together. Talk about your speaking engagement. So how do you go about speaking? What kind of events do you speak at? And how do you talk about your speaking business?
Well, I love working with churches. And of course, because my background's in education, I truly love connecting with schools, alternative schools, any public schools, to work with either the students and the faculty and staff members. Of course, right now, our teachers are overworked. They have a lot on their plate and underpaid. And so I just want to make sure that I keep the teachers encouraged and igniting their flame to know that it's very important that they, like you said, putting yourself first, that they are focused when they're working with their children, because they have to have that
Mm-hmm.
enthusiasm and energy to keep going. And for our students, our children are going through so much, and just period, being children in today's age. We have the social media that's fighting for their attention.
Mm-hmm.
We have bullying and things of that nature. So just connecting with parents that are trying to navigate the education system, working one-on-one with students, as well as different individuals for my coaching program, and then just going out and speaking at women empowerment or any different conferences, so that I'll have an opportunity to keep others encouraged.
All right. So you mentioned the parents a lot. Let's talk about the parents for a second. How do you feel about parents nowadays? Like, I'm a homeschooler.
Okay.
I homeschool my children. I went to public school with my wife, but we homeschool for a myriad of different reasons, right? Because we're able to, we're blessed to, right? And then like the school system just probably isn't giving us what we need, or we don't think is giving us what we need or want for our children, right? So we just decided to take upon ourselves and homeschool. But how do you what do you say to the parents when they have to take their children to school, right, in the system? And how do you help them or encourage them to maintain the flame as to being present with the child and making sure they keep up and keep their hands on them? Because I'm sure if the parent takes their thumb off the child nowadays, it's fair game, right?
Yes,
It's
it
fair game
is.
for them.
It is. I just try to, when working with them one on one, to keep them encouraged and for them to understand the importance of being, like you said, present and involved. And
Mm-hmm.
most
Mm-hmm.
importantly, being an advocate for your child. I know that when we go into school systems, a lot of parents are excited and over the moon when they're in kindergarten through sixth grade. I'm going to be the first at the PTA meeting, and I'm going to take these pictures, and I'm so excited for my child. But after we transition those babies into middle school and high school, some of that energy and enthusiasm dies down. And I'm not saying that all parents, but some of them do. But parents need to understand our children need us more at middle and high school ages than any other ages, because there's so much peer pressure. And so I know
Mm-hmm.
some of the things that I recommend are not things that people want to do, but look at those cell phones. Check and see who they're talking to. Make sure when they're doing their homework that they're just not copying and pasting. Make sure that they're
Mm-hmm.
actually understanding the information and they're actually prepared. And make sure that you're showing up to the parent teacher meetings, asking the questions. And if your child comes home with an issue that's going on, don't say, okay, well, I'll let you deal with that, or I'll handle it, or don't worry about it. We need to dig deeper, because unfortunately, when we leave our children to their own vices to try to figure out what's going on, sometimes they may not make the best decision. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
home should be a training ground. And that's how it was
Absolutely.
with my children when they were growing up. If we're going to make mistakes and we're going to screw up and do things, we need to do it now, right here. So I
Mm-hmm.
can help you problem solve and I can help you through the situation. So there was no conversation that was off the table at home, because I want to make sure that I'm setting you up for success.
Right. I'd rather you learn it here than out there, so you can
That's
learn it
right.
properly. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Oh man, yes, ma'am. That's oh man. My children young is a 7, 5, and 3-year old,
Oh,
and
that's
I'm just getting
amazing.
started.
That's the greatest age.
I'm just getting started, man. It hasn't been quiet in a long time.
You, every moment, just take it in. Like you said, be present and enjoy it. I wish I could go back to when my babies were younger. They're
Yes,
27,
ma'am.
23, and 21, and it goes by
Oh,
so
okay.
fast.
All right, all right. Well, I'll keep that in mind, and I'll tell Mark to him. We do our best though. Like I said, we balance each other out real well. So she's the teacher, I'm the principal, and so they'll come to me and ask me something. I'm like, "Did you ask your teacher?" I'm the
I
principal.
love it.
I'm here for disciplinary actions only.
That's awesome.
uh,
Yes.
yeah, that's so nice. So let's talk about your book. My soul is not for sale. How'd you come up with that title?
Just in the experiences throughout life, I think in watching other individuals, so many people that would change in different environments, or people that will have conversations and will be very adamant when we're in the break room, but then when we come out, I'm the only one speaking up, and I'm standing there by myself. And so it just, after the lessons I had to learn, I knew it was important to hold on to my integrity. So the title is My Soul is Not for Sale, Removing the Lies, the Labels, and Limitations. And it just focuses on the importance of being very resilient in a world where any and everything goes, being able to stand in your truth. So I have a chapter in there that talks about L-kids, and that's little kids in big bodies. Unfortunately, in our workplace, there are individuals that didn't receive the therapy that they needed. And so those bullies that we dealt with on the playground and the bullies that we dealt with in our classrooms, unfortunately, show up in the workplace because they haven't dealt with that trauma. And so the book gives you strategies on ways to deal with those individuals and still be successful in your place of employment. And then there's a chapter where I talk about the flush method. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and my sister right before me, she would always tell me, Nicole, when you're having issues, I want you to get a piece of toilet paper, and you don't necessarily have to do that part, but you write down everything that you're dealing with. But most importantly, you write down the pros and cons, the good and bad of the situation, but you must write down your role in the situation and take accountability for your actions. And once you do that, you need to ball it up and you need to release it. And flush stands for facing life's uncomfortable situations so you can heal. And so that's just some strategies that individuals can utilize when you go through grief, when you go through trauma, maybe if you're going through a bad relationship, you're able to use that method to help you reflect upon what's going on, identify your role in the situation, but heal and continue to move forward.
You got some mean acronyms going on
Oh,
there.
I love acronyms.
Were you in the military?
No, no.
That's nice. You had mentioned resilience earlier, right? So my co-host Frank, like I said, I mentioned his book earlier. He took him some change, a little bit of time to write his book. He finally has it out.
Awesome.
And talk about the resilience that you had to have and some of the obstacles you had to overcome with writing your book. I'm sure it wasn't easy.
Oh, definitely not. Months and months and long nights and frustrations. And even looking at it, does this even make sense? Will they understand where I'm coming from? Because if you think about the title, and for whatever reason, God placed that title in me many, many years ago. And I think when you're young, like for me in this book, we're taught if you work hard and do right, everything will be okay. That's not necessarily the truth. There's so many potholes and politics and things of that nature. And it's not a negative book, but it's a way of people looking at who you truly are at the end of the day. And so even when it comes to the title of the book, I had to think, there was difficult times with that because I don't want people to receive it in a negative light, that my soul is not for sale. What is she trying to say? What I'm saying is to hold onto your integrity and the importance of being able to be resilient. So the long nights of writing, the nights of thinking, is this something that needs to be included? Is this something that they will understand? And hopefully and prayerfully that the title and the information will be received in the manner that it's being presented.
Yes, ma'am. When I hear this, the soul is not for sale. Like I said, we have a conspiracy show, so we talk about the media and the entertainment industry or the sports industry, right? Taking advantage of individuals and their talents and their brilliance and their light and their fame and their authentic self, right? They take advantage of it and use it for their agenda or whatever. So that's kind of what I think about when I read just title of your book. But I'm sure you said it's not the same, right? But it's kind of similar to holding on to you, making sure you're aware of who you are and what you really want. So that way, when the powers that be or whoever comes to take advantage of you, you don't allow them, right?
Correct. And that's exactly what it is. And that could be in life in general. It could be family. It could be your job. It could be a relationship. You need to be able to stand on your own and say, this does not serve me well, so I'm not going to accept it. And I think sometimes we compromise so much that we lose ourselves in the process. And so that can hurt us in the long run. So you just have to be able to set those healthy boundaries, and it's going to be painful. I've had my moments in my trials and tribulations myself, but you have to believe that you're going to come out on the other side.
Absolutely. All right. Let's talk about you and your personal experiences, right? So are there any times where you thought it wasn't going to work out? You were feeling kind of down on yourself because it seems like you have a very optimistic and healthy view of yourself and the outlook of life. So was there ever a time when you was like, man, I'm just going to be a regular Joe Schmo and a tumbleweed going through life?
No, no. Well,
No.
yes, yes, I will say most definitely. I grew up with very, very low self-esteem. I
Okay.
always hated my complexion and my short hair. I had a little short Jerry curl. I looked like a boy with all my Jerry curl juice, and I didn't understand. And I'd go to the store, and they'll be like, "Can I help you, sir?" And I'm like, "I'm a girl. I'm a girl." So just thinking about that, and I would look at other individuals, and they seemed to have it together, and they were so beautiful and so amazing, and I just
Mhm.
didn't know what would be next for me. But that's a part of maintain your flame, because we're all brought here. We have a gift on the inside. We were created with a gift on the inside. It's just for you to pull that gift out and know that all the tools that you need to be successful has already been placed inside of you. And I had to figure that
Absolutely.
out the hard way, because I was looking for all of that confirmation and validation from everyone else. So I'm looking around, is this good enough? Am I cute enough? Will this work? But I had to be able to
Mm.
look inside and know that, Nicole, you have everything you need to be successful. And so I was able to get over my low self-esteem. I worked on myself. I went to Grambling State University, and of course at a HBCU, they build you up so
Mhm.
strong to let you know
Mhm.
you can take on the world. And I think because of
Absolutely.
that experience, I'm able to sit before you today more confident and vibrant and resilient, knowing that this too shall pass, and you just got to keep
Mm.
pushing on.
Absolutely, this too shall pass.
Yes.
One of my favorite sayings is like, some people are praying for God for a cake. God, I want a cake. God, I want a cake. God, I want a cake. Give me a cake, God. And He's like, I gave you everything you inside of you already. You have your bread,
Hmm.
you have your eggs, you have your water, you have your flour.
There you go.
Go make your cake, right? And
Uh-huh.
so I like that definitely. Okay, let's talk about a time where you got a story where you helped someone find their flame when they were kind of, down in the dumps. I'm sure, like I said, you go around speaking and you got your book.
Mhm.
Is there a particular instance or a story that you can share where you were just like you helped somebody kind of maintain their flame and now they're flourishing and shining bright?
Well, yes, I will say I was a couple of years ago, I was coaching a young lady. She was in New York. She was an attorney, but she was having some challenges breaking away from her mom's shadow. And so,
Mm-hmm.
of course, as parents, we see our children as our babies forever and ever. But there are some things she shared with me during our coaching session. She didn't even let her mom know she had a piercing, and her mom would,
Mm.
she wouldn't know how to take it well. So I coached her through how to come into who you are. It's going to take time. Some people will be upset, but as a parent, they're not going to stay that way forever. So let's figure out what you enjoy doing, who you are, what makes you happy. Start walking in that light, and understand that when it's time for those conversations with your mother, you're going to have to be able to present it as an adult. Not that you're asking for permission, you're helping her to understand this is who I am. And so we
Mm-hmm.
were able to go over different scenarios, even at a time when she was dating someone. And so I talked to her about the importance about her mindset. How are you looking at this situation? How could you look at this situation differently? We did a lot of role playing with conversations. When you sit down to talk about this particular item, what's the best way for you to present it to her? I made sure that I was her accountability partner, giving her homework to take action steps on so she can be intentional about the life that she was trying to create for herself. I shared with her the importance of nurturing herself. And I think once we went through some of the strategies, we did the role playing. I was her accountability. Okay, we're meeting again next week, but you still haven't talked about this particular issue with your mom. And so,
Mm-hmm.
holding and being able to have those conversations, I think I was able to help her come into her own, become stronger in her view and who she was, and be confident enough to know this is who I am. This is what I enjoy doing. I know that, you may or may not like this, but this is my life, and I'm going to try to do it the best way I can. And I want you to be a part of it, but I want you to be supportive in nature, not so negative. And so I
Right.
think that we had a great outcome. We had a wonderful relationship, coaching her through those moments. And now that I look back on it, that's, one of my great accomplishments, working with the young lady. She was an attorney in New York.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, it's tough. It's kind of tough, breaking out of your parents' shadow, especially,
Yes.
if you were close with your parents, or if they were kind of overbearing, when guiding you and doing things. So yeah, and I kind of was not. I don't think I was overshadowed a lot, but I was definitely looking for guidance from them, right? So when I got out of high school, instead of me going straight to, so I wanted to go to a particular school for college, ECPI, right, a technology school.
Uh-huh.
And my sister, she had her master's degree already, and she was like, well, you should probably go to a community college. And I was like, oh, okay. And I hated it. It because it was just like, I just left high school, and it's kind of the same thing. I want to learn something different. I want to learn something. And then I go, and my mom says, hey, try the military. And her thing was, you go military, you can be secure and do all these other things. I hated it because in there, I couldn't have been, I was an individual, right?
Okay.
And the military don't like individuals, right? And so that didn't work for me. And so I ended up back at the school that I wanted to go to out of high school. And ended up there, and I'm still in tech, right? And I say going there was one of the best decisions I ever made. But going through those other avenues kind of taught me a lot about myself, some lessons I may have not have learned if I didn't. But I guess, like you're saying, I had to follow my own path, and they didn't. And again, they weren't overshadowing me. They didn't care. They just wanted me to do something. And, be do something and be whatever I wanted to be, right? So that's nice. So how did you get into wanting to share this particular message or maintaining the flame with people, and where did the idea come from?
Well, I believe that it's something that's just been placed in me at a young age. I've always been different. I've always had this super high energy, super hyper, and I was always the individual. I hate for people to be left out. That it was, even if I was in elementary or even at college, if I see someone and they're sitting by themselves, I would always say, hey, come sit over here, or I'll go sit with them. I always wanted to advocate for those that are left behind. And so maintain the flame for me is helping people understand it's okay to be different. It's okay for everyone not to love you and everyone not to celebrate you, because it has to start with yourself first. So maintaining your flame, that means finding out what makes you tick, what makes you happy, and being able to walk in it, to stand in your truth and move forward. And so it gives me an opportunity to advocate for others, to support them, to be an accountability partner, and utilize my life as a testimony to know I've had some tough times. I grew up in a very difficult childhood with the home that I was in, but I was able to overcome. So it doesn't determine where you are, does not determine where you're going. You have the power to decide, and you have the power to change and have the input in what your future will look like.
I agree. Personal responsibility is another one. I have a bunch of different principles that I like to share, right? I mean, personal responsibility is like one of my favorites too. Is like, because if you take care of you and you take responsibility for your actions, what you're eating, what you're reading, what you're watching, what you're hearing, right? You will change, right? You will move differently, but it's gonna affect the people around you even more, because it's like, what's wrong with this dude?
What's going on? There you go.
Why are you moving like that? What's wrong with you? Why are you acting like that? And it's like, oh, you want to know what I'm doing? You want to know what I'm doing? Take this, read this, watch this, listen to this, eat this, right? So it'll be infectious, and I say that's kind of an issue in our community. I would say, like, a lot of people don't take personal responsibility for their actions, and once they start doing that, it'll kind of be that would be the tool or the key to helping others grow and us growing as a community collectively, right? Because I'm worried about what I'm doing, less about what they're doing. I'm worried about how I'm behaving and what I'm making and what I'm doing and what I'm creating, less about they are talking to who and who shot who and who's hanging with who. Right. So that's just me. What do you think about that?
I totally agree. If we would just focus and lock in, I think that would make the difference. But I'm also a part of the old school where we were so close. And where if you see Johnny down street doing something, you would correct him. I think we need more of that. But so many people nowadays, we're so focused on just for myself. And I think that's good. We need to make sure we're taking care of our individuals. But as a community, we're hurting so much. And I think also that our examples are where are our leaders? Because a lot of people will see things that are going on in the community, and we need to stand up, even if it's on your job. There's strength in numbers. So coming together, advocating for others, and correcting and being open to receiving correction when you aren't doing something correct, because it's the way that you are representing the community as a whole.
Unify and thrive. You hear what I said at the beginning of the show. Unify and thrive.
Yes, I like it.
Unify and thrive. It's like I like that too, because a lot of people who are lost or trying to look for a way, they're kind of looking at, like I said, the media, the music, or the comedians or the superstars, celebrities, as to I want to follow them, I want to be like them. But it's the guy who works as the mailman, maybe, or the computer guy in your neighborhood, or the librarian, or the school counselor, right? Who actually has the way for you to become the perfect version of yourself, right? Instead of chasing some fleeting dream. And I'm not saying that don't chase your dreams, right? But only 500 players in the NBA, while there's millions of kids fighting for those 500 spots.
You're right.
And so I'm with you, man. Unify and thrive. Please don't forget that.
Okay, I won't.
That's one of my favorite slogans right there. So this was a nice conversation. We talked about not selling your soul. Please don't sell your soul. Maintain your flame. Please maintain your flame. Don't let them dim your light. So what are some things so our final question is, right,
okay.
We asked you in the beginning, what was your figuring shit out moment? And you shared that. So what is something you're trying to figure out now moving forward that you want to, learn now?
Well, I would like to learn, number one, how to sell more books, get more information out into the world, and connect with key players so that I can positively impact the lives of our young people. That's just something that's so important to me, because so many of our young people are lost. And as you mentioned, they're looking at all the media and the examples that's on the media. We're teaching them everything but what's right. And we need to sit down. And I've even said, and I'm not saying in every situation, because I know people get upset with this, but making sure that our children are educated. Equality and excellence in the school systems is very important, because unfortunately, I've seen individuals that's in 11th and 12th grade that are writing on a first and second grade level. And how are those babies going to be able to go out and compete? Some of them can't even complete an application. So it's so important to me that I'm able to connect with the right individuals, that they would have an open mind. So when I do come in and do presentations and work with the parents and work with the teachers and the staff, that they're accepting of the information, not to think that it's something someone's coming to beat you down with, but for me to kind of wave the flag and say, hey, something's wrong here. We're just pushing them through the system, and they need an advocate at home and they need an advocate at school in order for them to be set up for success. Because if we don't take care of our younger generation, we're going to be screwed up when we get old. So we've got to reach back. We've got to teach them the right way, and we have to be better examples.
Absolutely. Oh, man, absolutely. So when we decided to homeschool, I think it was right after the pandemic, maybe 22, and Baltimore school numbers came out. And Maryland, I don't know, I don't check the city, but there had a grade level that didn't pass the standard, or the grade level reading was like, they were like 8th, 9th graders in like a 3rd grade reading level. It was like, man, that's tight, pitiful. A whole school system, right? How are you feeling? But again, they're just passing them on through. And I'm like you, I like to reach out to the youth. So I have a computer literacy program, where I teach computer literacy. I used to lug around like 70 laptops to different community centers and YMCA and teach computer literacy and stuff like that. But times have changed. so I teach online. And like you, I want to go touch the students in the school. So I go speak and kind of introduce them to what I do, or into technologists. Frank and I are both techies, right? We're both, ITs for careers. And that's a career that's very rewarding. Like I said, I work from home. He works from home. We make a decent living. And and I didn't know it was possible until I got out of college, right? I didn't know this was a thing, right? Until I got out of college. And he says the same thing. Like, if I wouldn't have went through the IT field, there's no telling.
Yeah.
I have no idea. No idea what would have happened, right? So I thank you for, going out to the school, sharing your message, and being an example and being the light, because the people that they see on, like I said, the TV and the Instagrams and social medias, these people are handpicked by a particular group of people for a particular agenda, right?
Yeah.
They don't have your best interest at heart. They don't care if you do what they're doing or not, as long as they have your attention to do nothing at all. So I'm sure that's a whole nother story for another podcast for a whole nother day, right?
Well, and I want to mention, for those of you that are out there that are interested in a reading app, my daughter is a graduate of Hampton University, and she is the CEO of her own business, and she has created Globy. It's a reading app for children from kindergarten through 6th grade. And so it makes reading fun, and it's like a gaming app, but it's really diverse and very educational. So just keep your eyes and ears out for that. But it's Globy, Globi.
Okay. I'm definitely interested. She needs to come on the podcast, because that sounds like she figured some shit out.
Yes.
Definitely sounds like she figured some stuff out. So that's pretty cool. Good job, Mom. Sounds like she's on the right path.
Oh, thank you.
So let people know how they can find you and where they can get your book.
Oh, sure. Well, if you want to connect with me, you can reach out at www.maintaintheflame.net. And the book is at Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, all of the outlets.
Okay, nice. I'm sure Frank would have some questions about how you got your book in the Barnes & Nobles and stuff like that. So Frank, hit her up, man. I know you watching. All right. So thank you again, Dr. Nicole, and it was a great conversation. I appreciate you taking the time out to enlighten us tonight. We're going to maintain the flame.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.